So if you're running Facebook ads for your clothing brand and you feel like you're just burning money with nothing to show for it, trust me, I've been there too, wasting budgets, testing the wrong things, and feeling absolutely stuck. But today I'm gonna show you how exactly to test Facebook ads so that your Facebook ad can look more like this, and so that you can stop guessing and start scaling. By the end of this video, you're going to know how to test your ads without blowing your budget, how to create content that actually sells, how to scale once you find a winning piece of creative or a winning ad, and how to do this step by step without wasting time or money. All right, so number one is the testing strategy. Most people test their ads completely wrong. They launch a few random creatives, mix up their targeting, and have no way to actually measure what's working. That's why they keep wasting money. Now here's the right way to test ads. Step one, I want you to launch 3 to 5 ad creatives per week, each one with a different hook, angle, or style. And I'm gonna bring up a document. This will make all of this much easier so you guys can see a little bit more visually, but let's go through the steps and then we'll break it down. So step 2 is to keep the same audience across all of it. Broad targeting, or what other people call as open targeting. We want age, gender, and location. There is no need for you to do interest targeting or lookalikes or anything else messing with anything on the audience. Your audience does not do the targeting, your creative does. So the audience is just leaving it wide open. That's what Meta wants. And eventually you will have no option on who to actually go after. Now, step 3 is to set a reasonable budget. Now let's talk through this. So most people watching this channel are gonna be anywhere between that $30 a day to could be $3,000 to $5,000 a day. Wide range, I understand that. Most reasonable budgets, and I would say if you cannot spend $20 to $30 per day, I would definitely not run any ads. It's not that you can't, it's just the effectiveness of them, you're probably not gonna be able to go for purchases, and it's very difficult to try to break out of that. So you gotta be able to run $20 to $30 a day and just let it work, and you gotta understand that that is your market. This is per day, like I said, so you're gonna spend, $800, $900 a month on this. This gives Facebook enough data to actually work with, and obviously if you have more, better, but you gotta have an actual budget. Don't just randomly tell me today you can spend $50 or $100 if it makes a return. No, I want you to be able to run a budget that you can do for the next 30 days, and if you haven't made a return from that, then we need to readjust, we need to look at things. But please do not just be like, well, I gotta make $500 in the next 5 days because I've got $100 a day and I'm just gonna go all in. That is not a smart way to run your business or your marketing. Number 4 is tracking the right numbers. You need to focus on a couple of main things here. I do like unique click-through rate, and we'll jump into that here in a second inside of Ads Manager. The cost to add to cart, the cost per purchase, and then I work backwards from that. So cost per purchase, then that initiate checkout or add to cart, and then the click-through rate, so we can actually see what is actually working. If an ad is driving cheap clicks but no purchases, it is not a winner. Like I said, we'll break this down. I'll show you kind of what is a winner, what is not a winner. But once we find the best performing ad, we move on to the next step right here, which is scaling, which is where everyone wants to be, and it's that magic word on the internet, how to scale whatever. I probably titled that video something like that too, because it's what you guys are looking for. Before we get into this next section, I just want to say a quick hey, howdy, and hello. So I'm Aaron, I'm one of the co-founders here at BitBrand. If you're new here, welcome. If you're coming back, shout out to you. Alongside my business partner, Christian, we help specialize in growing clothing brands. That's all we work with. We're one of the very few people on the internet who only do clothing brands. Some people will just take money from anybody. We do not. We only work with clothing brands. In the last 12 months, we've helped over 300 brands alone. And I would really appreciate it if you give us a nice little like and subscribe. We drop new content for you. Streetwear brands, boutiques, lifestyle, right? All of you guys in the apparel space, we drop new content for you every single week. And if you do this, in the next 3 seconds, I will share with you the top grossing movie of 1999. It's actually surprising. We'll see if Franklin knows the answer. Franklin, what was the top grossing movie of 1999?
Star Wars Episode 1.
Yep. Franklin got it, did you? Okay, so this is a document that I want to share with you. It's called our OSO, or Optimized Store Owner. It's the program members that we serve, Content Scaling Strategy document. It's a long-winded answer, or a long-winded title, but bear with me here. The concept here is that if you have 3 concepts, and I'll break down what those actually are, you can spend $100 a day or more, you can basically do 3 concepts. The one thing you have to understand here is that there are basically multiple steps to making and running these types of ads, selecting an actual focus, Is it evergreen? Is this something that can be run for a long period of time? I know boutiques or certain drops for streetwear brands, you can't do that. So, do you have deep stock in it? Have you had success selling this before? Is this a bestseller? Would this product or collection be a good introduction to your brand? Questions to ask yourself. Honestly, if it's none of those four, then you probably need to go back to one of these four, unless it's something that's absolutely new and maybe you are a newer brand. That's the only ideal situation where that would change. Number two is finding an actual offer. An offer doesn't need to be a discount. It just needs to be something of value. And you've got to do something of value, especially in today's economy. I don't care when you're watching this video. People always want a deal. Even if you're a high-end luxury brand, which we work with a lot of, you still got to add value. If it's the most amazing packaging, if it's free shipping, if you're throwing in free items, whatever it is, you don't have to discount. Hear me when I say that, you don't have to discount, but you do need to make something the discrepancy between value or not. The third area here is creative concepts, which we will get into in this video right now. The second step is to creating content. I mentioned it here, and we're going to reference back to this document, which also has links for you guys to view, and I will show you some creative. But the whole point for this video is how to test Facebook ads, and I want to put this all into kind of or lay it out on the table so we can wrap it up into a nice little bow here. And number two, probably the most important part for testing, is creating content that actually converts. Your testing strategy is useless if your creatives do not convert. No brainer, right? So what type of content actually works for brands? I actually created a video on this whole thing not too long ago that you can check out on our channel, but I'm gonna break them down here as well in a little bit higher level. Number one, UGC, user-generated content. People love seeing real customers wearing your clothes, especially if they are your ideal customer. I think so many people get UGC done incorrectly, and UGC is not being as effective. However, if it was up and to the right where UGC was crazy good in like 2020, 2021, 22, 23, it's kind of fallen down a little bit. But with the rise of AI, I assume at this point, right, we will see a lot more UGC into the marketplace, and then we will be on the lookout for what is actually real, and UGC from real people will actually come back again. But is it effective today? Yes. Will I show you some examples of that today? Absolutely. What's great about UGC is that it's raw. Hopefully if it's done well, it's authentic, a content that works way better than overproduced ads where it's like, buy this amazing brand with this huge like discount and text all over it, which are called headline ads. They do work, but I like user-generated content a lot more. So let's go over here and look at some UGC content. All different types of UGC content. It could literally be a selfie wearing an actual outfit. It could be unboxing, which we have here. It could be talking to camera. This is doing really well right now, just as a heads up for everybody. I don't think I even mentioned it here, but this is something we've been testing. It's like real time, is answering questions on video as an actual ad. Killing it. Even if it's you on a different channel and you have a comment so that you can respond back to yourself again on like something like this for TikTok, it does really, really well. It's great UGC. It seems very engaged. People love to be able to read and have video interaction. So cool way to bring in some different creative, which is also relevant to today. The next one here is this problem solution format. For example, sick of clothes that shrink after one wash. Here's the fix. Start with a relatable problem, then introduce your product as the actual solution. We'll get into this a little bit in this video, but essentially, if you know your audience well enough, you will know that you have a problem that you are solving for them. You are the solution, and then you have to be able to paint the picture afterwards. So many people in the clothing industry are just like, that looks fire, that looks great, this is amazing, like it just looks cute and I just have an eye for it. That's cool. But if you can't articulate the actual problem that you're solving, then it'll be very difficult to reach your audience. It'll be very difficult to try to actually grow. So please, please, please make sure that you understand what the problem is that you're solving for the marketplace. Hey, if you're a clothing brand owner, boutique, streetwear, private label, and you want to jump into the specifics of your brand and find out why it's not scaling at the rate that you should be scaling, you can go ahead and schedule a free strategy call with us by checking out the link in the description down below. There are limited spots, so make sure you go do that right now. We'll see you on the other side. This next one here is high energy hooks. So the first 3 seconds matter more than absolutely anything. We use fast cuts, bold text, or a strong statement to grab the attention instantly. So what I try to do for you at the beginning of this video, and luckily you stayed till at least this point, it really does matter. This is huge. I think this is probably the biggest part. Basically, once a week, we launch new ads every Monday. It just happens to be Monday because that's just an easy day to do it. But I like the idea of a system where you have old ads and new ads and you turn old ones off that are not working and launch new ones. That's how you continue to get better. People always ask me, this may be something you lean into, right? Whether you're washing dishes or you're in the car or you are wherever you're watching this video, lean into this fact right here, which is that the only reason that somebody else is winning against your ads comes down to two things. One, is your content actually good? And isn't talking to the right people? And number two, are they testing more creative than you? If you have more at-bats or they have more at-bats than you do, the chances of them winning are much, much higher. So please, volume affects volatility. Basically, the more volume that you have, the less volatility that you have. I was talking to a clothing brand owner, actually two of them on Friday. One of them, a brand that's doing like 60K per month. One of them that's doing like 3K in like 6 months. And the only difference between the two of them, they were both stuck at a plateau, but the only difference between the two of them is that one was making more money than the other. But outside of that, you would expect that the one who was making 6K over or 3K over 6 months, he was posting a lot less. He was like, yeah, if I got something good to say, I don't want to just say something to say it, which I understand. However, you still got to be able to talk to your audience. You got to show up. So he's posting like once a month. Not going to work. Then I got another brand where she's posting like once a day, but it's never relatable content to their audience. And honestly, there wasn't much for stories. It was just sharing. They're not pulling out this thing right here and actually talking to camera like this. And so what happens? They get stuck at 60K. And that's fine, right? Some of you guys would would love to be at the 60K per month, but they're posting, like I said, multiple times per day. Could they be doing better? Yes. Absolutely they could. So more volume equals less volatility. One of the biggest things, or one of the biggest, I would say, reasons to do this too, is this keeps our ads fresh, prevents fatigue, and ensures we always have something new to test. Every Monday, new creative. Don't worry, you are not it's not an anomaly to not have a ton of creative. We used to do this too. We're like, well, when the client gives us creative or when we create the content for the client, like we'll do that. But there was no real test of what day we're gonna do it. Like, let's do it on a Wednesday, and then like, oh, we'll get new creative, so then we'll do it on a Tuesday. There was no strategy behind it. Since we've made that change, not only do we have predictable data, but we also have a lot better results. We'd launch like ads and wait weeks before testing something new. I would not do that. The ads would fatigue, performance would tank, and we'd be scrambling, honestly. And the second, like I said, that we committed to this launch schedule, everything else changed. Our winning ads lasted longer, our testing process runs much more like a machine, and everything else became a lot more predictable. Now, a couple of other things I would say here. We have a whole list of videos here that are inside of this scaling strategy document. There is a list of live ads right now that you can go and look at. Let's watch a couple of examples of these 3-second fast hooks that you guys can use as an example, and then I'll show you how you can get this link here.
Miss, you forgot something.
Thank you. Is this a new collection?
Sometimes I want to dress like this. Then I want to dress like this. Then like this. And on Tuesdays, like this.
All right, so I have a list of, probably 1,000 different ads as examples of things that you can create that have good hooks that you can use in your business. If you want this document, this link rather, just comment the word foreplay down below and I'll send it over to you. And if you wanted the content scaling strategy document, I can send that to you as well. Just comment the word scale. I'll know the difference between the two of them. We'll respond back and I'll send you each one of those two things. All right, so number 3, step 3 here, if you will, is scaling the absolute winners. And like I said, I'm gonna go through Ads Manager. We'll jump in Ads Manager and actually show you the specifics here in a second. Let's say, for example, you've tested your ads, you found a winner, and now you're wondering, how do I actually scale without killing performance? Here is the actual formula, and I'll write it down for you. There's basically 2 options that I would suggest. So option number 1 is to go up by 20 to 30% in total spend every 2 to 3 days. That one's good. It's a little bit more volatility, but it is the suggested route. I prefer option 2. So option 2 is a 5% daily budget increase with a 3-day look back in the rear. So I always look at, if I'm gonna scale on a Tuesday, I'm looking at Monday, Sunday, and Saturday. And if those numbers, if the accumulation of those 3 days are lower than our cost to acquire a customer, CAC, if you will, or CPA, some people use. If that is lower than our target cost per acquisition, then I will increase by 5%. How do you determine what is actually profitable? Well, I always look at this as what's first purchase profitable. Let's assume you have 70% margin. All you would do is divide 1 by 0.7. Because of that, you would need a 1.42 ROAS. So if your ROAS is above a 1.42, then you are first purchase profitable, and that means that I would scale. So over a 3-day period, if I'm doing it on a Tuesday, if I look at Monday, Sunday, and Saturday, and I'm at a 2.5, then I'm going to increase by 5%. That's it. And then for Wednesday, I would look at Tuesday and Monday and Sunday. And again, if it's above that 1.42, I'm going to increase by 5%. The goal is to get this scaling, but going too fast triggers Facebook's learning phase again, which I would say that learning is always happening, but it can hurt performance if you continue to scale up like this, or you continue to do it before your first purchase profitable. You're going to train the algorithm to do the wrong thing. Another option that people say is to duplicate and scale. So you can duplicate a new campaign, add in new creative, and add it at a higher budget. I don't suggest that, honestly. I'm just mentioning it to you so that you're aware of it. I would honestly do it like this. Okay, so let's jump into Ads Manager here and let's check these out. So last 30 days, we are at a total 4.2 return on ad spend. We have 1 campaign running. As you can see here, last 30 days, we've spent about $73,000. What is the daily budget? We'll just go last 7 days, $20,000. And then you can see yesterday was about $2,900. So we're spending about $3,000 per day. What you'll see here too is that the campaign doesn't change. The ad set, still that broad ad set right there, okay? These are real numbers behind us. I also have something set up here too where it's called first time impression. The reason I do first time impression is this going after a new audience. If you're just reaching the same audience, it's also an indicator of like what to scale, what not to scale. If I didn't have a good return, like for example, I'm looking at purchases and that's the only thing I care about, but if it didn't have purchases and I didn't have to add the cards, I would look at unique link click-through rate. So is this a good click-through rate? Yes, it is. I would say anything above a 2, I like for closing. This one is 4.96 across the board, 4.7, 3.85, 3.61, good. Cost per 1,000 impressions, it's going to be anywhere between $18 to $30 in the apparel industry. Even high end, you could be like 40 or 50, but for the most part, good spot there. I honestly don't care about any of those numbers. I'm just mentioning them to you now because some people may not have these purchases. What I do care about is the actual purchase and then what is the return. So I'm getting 10 purchases, it's costing me $17, $29, $38, majority of them here coming at $29. My average order value, which I do know because of inside of Shopify, right, is about $85, $90. So we are profitable and we do understand one number, which we won't get into this video, is LTV, which is lifetime value. As long as I'm first purchase profitable, I'm willing to make money on the ad, but know that because my lifetime value is really great, then I'm gonna make even more money on the back end. What would you do here? So I'm basically launching a new ad set and then updating the creative. For example, this is one that I would not change. It's one that I like to have running, especially if you start to do a larger budget. So I wanna mention this one, is you can do a carousel and there's not really too much that you need to change with this one. The other one is more of a new arrivals. I would launch a new ad set every single week. So this one right here got turned off. Today is actually a Monday when we recorded this. I would go ahead and hit here, quick duplicate. This one is not turned off because of performance. This one is turned off because of products that are in stock. But what I would do is go ahead and hit here. For the ad set, I would go ahead and hit quick duplicate. It's gonna keep everything the same, and I would make sure to change the ad set name to match what it actually is. I'm going for website. I'm not doing website and shop, at least at the time of this recording, which has not changed honestly for quite some time. Everything else is going to stay the same. I'm literally not changing anything here. I'm going to the ad set and then I'm gonna manually upload this content. Now, flexible is the old DCT, if you will. We actually don't have a ton of data behind it because DCT or dynamic creative testing, you could actually see the individual pieces of creative and you could see which ones were actually performing or doing worse or doing better. For flexible, we are pumping in content, and as the ad set as a whole is doing well, then we are good. All the graphics are very similar, all of the same style of creative as we saw here. we're gonna launch new concepts, and that is what a concept is. For example, if you did UGC, this is actually an example of one that is a graphic. So, and the reason we do graphics for boutiques anyway is because a lot of the times things will be selling out, so we look at it as a collection. This is our spring collection. Here is a graphic, and we're testing variations of different outfits for it, and whichever ones end up working, it's going to drive traffic to the exact same page. We are not going to a product page, we are going to a collection page, and then they can view all the different items that are in that ad. Flexible does not work for an individual product ad. The other question is, how do you increase the budget? And let's jump into that really quickly, because I think let's do one that's actually on right now. For this, I'm actually gonna do it at the campaign level. So it's called CBO, or campaign budget optimization. Gonna go ahead and click budget here, and then you would just go up by, like I said, 5%. All right, so I'd go up by $151. All right, so I'd go to $3,182.55 today, and then if it is above where I need to be for tomorrow, I will go up again by another 5%. So change this and then hit publish, and that is all that you need to do. So scaling an ad for Facebook is really, I mean, it's all of this. It is all of this. And then is the creative. The inside of the ads manager, as you saw here, not a ton to do, honestly, right? You set this up, you do it the right way, you do one campaign, broad, one ad set to start out. You can do multiple after you get going, scaling. But even at this, right, you saw we're doing $3,000 a day. We have 3 ad sets going, new creative happening every single week. All right, so now you know how to use Facebook ads to test for your brand. Go watch this video on how we took a brand from literally $0 to $2 million a year in 18 months. Go watch that video right here next. All right, y'all, we'll see you next time. P.S. Make sure you subscribe.